What is up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Simone Raider back at it again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2019 Raiders draft class and recapping and going over every single pick, giving my thoughts on this draft class. So far, I feel like Jon Gruden and Mike Mayock did such a great job getting the players that they wanted on the board, you know, high character players that can be foundational pieces for this team for the future. And, you know, throughout this whole draft, you know, there was only two people that I did not know of, but everybody else I at least looked at and knew of, which I was excited because I'm like, I wasn't going throughout this draft, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But, you know, we got a lot of talented players in this year's draft, and I feel like for Mike Mayock's first year as a GM, I think he did an excellent job. Before I get started with this video, I just want to let you guys know, if this is the first time you're watching this video and you guys enjoy content like this, then hit that subscribe button and hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this one. So with that said, Raider Nation, let's get started with this video. Now with the 4th overall pick, the Raiders select Clelin Ferrell, defensive end out of Clemson. Now this pick right here surprised a lot of Raider Nation and me as well. You know, I did not think that we were going to get Clelin Ferrell with the number 4 overall pick. It's not that he's a bad player, but I feel like a lot of people thought it was a reach. But you know, over time, Raider Nation kind of got over it, and we looked at the pick and like, you know what, it actually fits our system. And Mike Mayock did go out and say that Clelin Ferrell was high on their board. You know, he's a high character guy, and when you watch his press conference, you can tell that he's a high character guy that, you know, has a lot of talent. I feel like Mike Mayock had Nick Bosa on top of their draft board, Quinton Williams on top of their draft board, and then it was Clelin Ferrell. He's a traditional defensive end that plays with his hand in the dirt and fits our system with the 4-3 defense. And I feel like Clelin Ferrell at that position, when you really think about it, he was perfect at this pick. The most popular pick that everybody wanted was Josh Allen, as well as me. I like Josh Allen as well. When you take a look at the bigger picture, I feel like Josh Allen does not fit this system. He excels in a 3-4 defensive scheme, you know, playing that outside linebacker / edge rusher position, which I know we do not play. And Mike Mayock and Jon Gruden did state that they were not really high on Josh Allen, and this obviously proves that. But when you look at Clelin Ferrell, he's a big defensive player, you know, standing at 6'4", 264 pounds. In 2018, he had 53 tackles, 19.5 loss, and 11.5 sacks with 4 pass breakups and 3 forced fumbles. Now, Clelin Ferrell is a beast, and he did great things for Clemson. In the year before, you know, he was first team all ACC selection and winner of the Ted Hendricks Award, which goes out to the best defensive end in all of college football. I thought, you know, we could have got him at 24, but when you look back at it, I don't think he would have made it that far. And if he was really high on Mike Mayock and Jon Gruden's board, then I feel like it was a good selection for him. You can't knock a team for getting the player that they want and not the player that everybody else wants, because at the end of the day, we're not GMs, and Mike Mayock definitely knows more about these college scouts than we all do. So Clelin Ferrell, I think, was a solid addition. We needed edge rusher, and we addressed that need with the 4th overall pick. With the 24th overall pick, the Oakland Raiders select Josh Jacobs, running back out of Alabama. Now this pick, I was really excited about. I mean, I know a lot of mock drafts had the Raiders picking up Josh Jacobs in the 1st round. Me, I didn't really think that we should have, because I felt like there was a lot of other running backs that were available later in the rounds. But when we picked up Josh Jacobs, I was more than excited to have him on the team, because I looked at it and I'm like, we got our number 1 running back finally. You know, the last time we picked up a running back in the 1st round was Darren McFadden, and Darren McFadden had a good career with us, you know, barring all his injuries. But with that being said, I feel like when I look at Josh Jacobs, this dude is a complete back. You know, he can catch out of the backfield, he can run routes and catch the ball, he can block, he can be a thumper and run the ball up the middle and break a lot of tackles, you know, via MJD / you know, beast mode. But this guy can break one off for a touchdown. He's a perfect fit for this offense and what we have. Josh Jacobs can exceed in this offense. You know, we have offensive weapons like AB, Tyrell Williams, and all the other receivers that we did pick up. And then we have a solid tight end crew, and we have a big offensive lineman that can get dirty in the trenches. So you have Josh Jacobs with, you know, all the load taken off of him, with all the great players on offense that we do have. I feel like he can excel with this team. And with the huge news that happened now this morning with Isaiah Crowell being injured and out for the rest of the season, this gives a big opportunity for Josh Jacobs to excel with this team and be that number 1 running back that we've been looking for. So news just came out not too long ago that the Raiders did re-sign Doug Martin to the team, which I'm surprised that they did, because I don't think we need him back on this team. But you know what? The more depth that we have on this team, I guess the better. And Doug Martin didn't do a bad job last year. He was a solid player. But you know, with those players, with bringing them back, I know it's going to be a competition in the backfield, but I feel like overall Josh Jacobs is going to take over that #1 running back position, because we drafted him so high and we want him to be that 3-down running back for this team. So I love this pick. It was a perfect fit for the Raiders, and the Raiders, you know, finally get their #1 running back. With the 27th overall pick, the Raiders select Jonathan Abram, safety out of Mississippi State. All these picks I'm not mad about, but it was another surprising pick. I didn't see him going to the Raiders. I actually thought we were going to get someone like a Nasir Adderley, but Jonathan Abram, man, when we selected him, I was happy and I was excited to have him on this team. Honestly, I look at him, he's another Carl Joseph, but I feel like he has a better coverage ability than Carl Joseph, and he's a harder hitter than Carl Joseph. This guy's a thumper in the secondary, and he can come through the middle and basically rock any player that comes through the middle. And he's a high motor player with great character, and he has that trash talk ability. You know, he likes to smack talk the offensive players, which I like. You know, he has that little swag to him that lets everyone know that he's there. He only started 13 games in 2018 with 99 tackles, 9 for loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble for only playing 13 games in the 2018 season. And I feel like he adds a lot of depth to this secondary and can pair well with Carl Joseph. I know they have a similar playing style, which kind of confused me at first, but I feel like they're going to be great. A lot of fans said, why did we pick him up when we already have LaMarcus Joyner and we have Carl Joseph? Guys, you guys got to understand that the Raiders already announced that, you know, LaMarcus Joyner is going to be more of a nickel, going to be playing cornerback at the nickel position. And, you know, we're going to have Carl Joseph, we're going to have Eric Harris, and now we add Jonathan Abrams, a guy that can just hit and be that high motor, high impact player in the secondary. It will be perfect with this defense that we're already building up. We got the #1 safety in this year's draft, and it's a great pickup for the Raiders. Now the Raiders had the 35th overall pick in the 2nd round, but they traded back to the 38th pick and then traded back again to the 40th pick. So with the 40th overall pick, the Raiders went out and selected cornerback Trayvon Mullen. I was actually excited about this pick. I did not have him on our radar. Another Clemson Tiger, you know, a guy that has a high ceiling and can play that press coverage, man-to-man coverage. And I actually read an article the other day that Trayvon Mullen did not allow a touchdown his whole college career, and that's mind-boggling. And a lot of people thought this was another reach, but when you really look at him, this guy is actually better to me when I look at his tape and his stats and what he's done for the Clemson Tigers compared to a Greedy Williams at LSU. I feel like he's a better player than Greedy Williams. This guy can tackle in the open field, he can cover man-to-man, and he basically can do everything that you want a quarterback to do. He's a tall cornerback as well, standing at 6'2", 190 pounds. So this guy's a big cornerback, and he can run with most of the wide receivers in the NFL with his size and speed. He was a defensive MVP of the championship game. He had a pick against my cousin Tua and hit him pretty hard, and he earned the defensive MVP for the 2018 SEC championship game. And I feel like Trayvon Mullen is perfect on this defense. You pair him up with Garyon Conley on the other side and Darryl Worley and even LaMarcus Joyner, and it's going to be great for the secondary in the future for this Raiders team. And I have a lot of high hopes for this team in this secondary, especially adding a high character like Trayvon Mullen that can ball out for this team. Now we didn't have another pick till the 4th round, and with the 106th pick, the Raiders select Max Crosby, defensive end out of Eastern Michigan. Now this pick, I had the Raiders projected to get him in the 7th round because that's where I thought he was going to go, but I know his stock was actually slowly rising, and for us to actually get him in the 4th round was a great steal for the Raiders. And this guy right here is getting overlooked by a lot of players. He has a high motor. He uses his hands really well on the edge to get to the quarterback. When you watch his tapes, his get off is pretty fast, and I love the way he plays, you know, with that high motor. Obviously, he still has to bulk up and get more strength for this next level in the NFL, but you know, once he masters that, once he gets the strength that he can have in the NFL, he's going to be unstoppable. And Mike Mayock actually told him that when he called him. He said that, you know, you're going to have to bulk up. You're going to have to get bigger. You know, the NFL is going to have a lot of bigger offensive linemen. And I know he didn't play against the best offensive linemen in college, but I feel like if he bulks up, this guy's going to be unstoppable. When you look at him, he reminds me more of a TJ Watt type of player. He's lean, he's tall, and he's fast and can use his hands to get around the edge. If he can build that strength, I feel like he's going to be perfect for this defense, especially pairing him up with a Clelin Ferrell that we picked up earlier in the draft. I feel like these two can be foundational pieces on this defensive line and be an impact on the edge, which I hope they really do. And Max Crosby can easily be that steal of the draft. I cannot wait to see what Max Crosby is going to do for this team. Now the Raiders traded back again in the 4th round. We are at the 109th pick, but we traded back all the way to the 129th pick, and we selected Isaiah Johnson, cornerback out of Houston. Now, this is one of the first players that I did not know anything about. I didn't know him coming into the draft. When you look at this player and his highlights, he stands out. He's an athletic cornerback that has explosive play. You know, he stands out. He's a tall cornerback that can run really fast. He's really athletic. He's tall, and he can cover man-to-man the same way as Trayvon Mullen can, and he has a lot of speed to keep up with a lot of the fast receivers. So I feel like he's a perfect fit for this team. He can easily start for this team as well and fight Trayvon Mullen or even Daryl Worley for the starting position. He's a press corner with size, length, and speed. He needs more work, but I feel like, you know, with more development and more time in the NFL, I feel like he can become a solid number 2 cornerback for this team behind a Garyon Conley. You know, him and Trayvon Mullen are going to be building blocks for the secondary, especially with Jonathan Abram. So Isaiah Johnson, man, I'm excited to see him play as well, and he has a high ceiling, a high upside, and hopefully he can reach that potential and be that star that he can be on this team. More like a Richard Sherman type of player, because he's tall and lengthy and can play man-to-man. So hopefully he can turn out to be somewhat that type of player for this defense. And with the last pick in the 4th round, we had three 4th round picks actually, you know, with all the trade backs that we did do, but we picked up the 137th pick. So with the last pick in the 4th round, with the 137th pick, the Raiders went out and got tight end Foster Monroe out of LSU, which was a huge pickup because I didn't think that he was going to fall this far. I thought he was going to go day 2, honestly. But Foster Monroe, one of the top tight ends in this year's draft, it's a perfect pick. A lot of people had us getting Noah Fant or even Irv Smith in the 2nd day, but we didn't, and we waited and we got the tight end that we wanted. You know, a solid tight end. He's more of a pass blocking tight end and can help out in the run, and he's known for being a pass catcher as well. Mike Mayock actually said, you know, his tape did not do him justice, and when you really look at the way he plays, he's more of an athletic tight end that can do a lot of things, and he did not get the chance to do a lot at LSU, you know, because they used him more as a blocking tight end. Mike Mayock says that their scouts looked at him and he actually can be that receiving tight end if he puts his mind to it, and if we scheme him to be that type of tight end. And he has a high ceiling as well, and I like this guy. He's a high character guy that can come to this team and be that number 1 tight end that we can use for the team and, you know, fill that void that we have since letting go of Jared Cook. So I'm excited to have Foster Monroe, another receiving weapon for Derek Carr in this offense. In the 5th round, the Raiders actually traded up to the 149th overall pick to select Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver out of Clemson. Now, it's the 3rd Clemson player that we picked up in this year's draft, and man, I was excited to have him because this guy just pops out there. Slot receiver, that's what he is, and that's what we need on this team. He's a great slot receiver. When you see him in Clemson, he had a lot of great passes. He did not have a lot of touchdowns like all of the flashy players had, you know, in college, but he was more of a reliable slot receiver for that Clemson offense. And man, when you watch the tape, this guy was really there, you know, a guy that was really quick, that can run those quick routes, that can get those easy catches for any offense, you know, to get the first down, to get a couple yards here and there in big time moments. And he can catch the ball. He has really great hands, and I feel like that's another great receiving weapon for Derek Carr, and Derek Carr can use him as that check down slot receiver. I feel like he can excel in his offense with AB, Tyrell Williams, and I think he can easily be that slot receiver, that number 1 slot receiver that the Raiders can use. We add him to the offensive weapons that we've already added in Josh Jacobs, Foster Monroe, and everybody else. I feel like he's gonna excel with this team. Man, I'm really excited for all these players. I didn't think that Hunter Renfrow was gonna fall down this far, but he did, and we picked him up, and it was a great selection by the Oakland Raiders. And with with the last pick of the 2019 NFL Draft, the Raiders select Quinton Bell, defensive end out of Prairie View A&M. Now, this guy was another guy I did not know of. I did not know of him at all. I didn't know he existed. But when I looked at this dude's tape, you know, he comes out of a small school. This dude is explosive out the edge. He's fast and he has a lot of quick moves. When you watch his tape, this dude has a high motor, and you could tell he uses his speed really well because he was actually a wide receiver turned defensive end, which shows his athleticism and how fast he can develop, you know, when he puts his mind towards something. So I feel like adding him into this team and the defensive ends that we've already picked up in Cleveland Farrow and in Max Crosby, I feel like he's just another sleeper in this year's draft. And look out for Quinton Bell to be a high impact player for this team. I see the way he plays and the work ethic that he has, you know, training. And even in his combine and his pro day, he really stood out. He had a really fast 40 time, which I believe was like a 4.3 or 4.4, I believe so, but a really fast time for a defensive end. This dude's from Long Beach, California. Represent Long Beach. You already know, because that's where your boy's from. So I was kind of excited to see that he was from the same area that I was from, and he's a guy from a small school that has a lot to prove, and a lot of people did not have this dude on their radar, and Mike Mayock did a great job going out and scouting this dude and picking him up. Even though he was from a small school, he really stood out and caught the attention of the Raiders, and I feel like he has such a high ceiling that we hope that he can reach, because he can be a starter in this league. You never know, Raider Nation. He can really play and ball for this defense. We're really building this defense. So Raider Nation, that's all I have for you guys today. I really went over every single pick and my thoughts on it. So Raider Nation, what are your thoughts on all the picks that we picked up? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you guys like it? Did you feel like we reached for a lot of players? Honestly, for me, when I look back at it, I feel like we had a great draft. If I had to really grade this draft, I'd give it a real solid B+. I wanted to give it an A. I don't want to grade this and be really biased, so I give it a solid B+, because it was a B+ draft for us. It's not a bad draft, but it wasn't the perfect draft. But I feel like it was a really solid draft, and I really enjoyed every single pick, other than two players that I didn't know of. But I'm really excited to see every single pick, no matter who it is. What is your guys' draft gauge for this year's draft? Drop it down in the comments below and let your boy know. I know that I've been so busy lately. I haven't been able to put a lot of videos out, so I'm trying to put this video out today. And not only that, I actually have a draft class hype video coming out pretty soon, because I know a lot of people enjoy that. But you know, I've been so busy, so hopefully I get that out by Friday at the latest. So Raider Nation, just bear with your boy. So Raider Nation, if this is the first time you're watching this video, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button, just to notify you guys when I upload more videos like this one. And we are slowly growing on this page, so please give it a like, give it a share. Let the rest of the Raider Nation know about this channel, because we're slowly coming up on our goal of 10K subscribers. I want to reach that goal before the season, and I feel like we can do it. In Raider Nation, let's do it. So with that being said, this your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is